So I started Amazon KDP when I was completely broke, and over the past couple years, I was able to generate over $1.7 million in royalties and become a self-made millionaire at age 26 from actually doing this business, not from selling courses or making YouTube videos. I've learned a lot of things over the years that I wish I knew when I first got started with KDP. So in this video, I'll share you the biggest lessons that I've learned along the way to hopefully help you in your own KDP journey. So the very first thing you should understand if you're getting started with Amazon KDP right now is that there has never been a better time to start this business than now. Most people think it is too late to start Amazon KDP, and all of the success stories came from those who started years ago. And to that, honestly, that is like the furthest thing from the truth. Because I started Amazon KDP in 2016, and I built a multiple six figures a year KDP business, which I eventually sold a couple years ago for $820,000. But after that, I started a new KDP account. This time I wanted to see how passively I can grow this, meaning just outsourcing basically everything and doing this part-time. Compared to my first account, it was, me doing it full-time. For this account, I spend like 1 hour a week, right? And despite that, so far I made $359,000, and you can see that it's growing pretty steadily, right? Month over month. And if you count audiobooks and other sources, it's over $400,000. And just to clarify, because you see 172 books here, a lot of people will take the total income and then divide it by how many books I have, and they're like, oh, you're not making much per book, right? But that's not how you look at this business. A lot of these books are translations or bundles, which I was able to create for free. Also low and medium content books that I'm testing so that I can learn from it and teach it better in my YouTube videos. But anyways, if I just sort this with the top 10 books, I still made $211,000, probably $250,000, with other sources just from the 10 books. So you don't need a ton of books to make money. And I also have students getting way better results way faster. So this student started this KDP brand in November 2022. And within 2.5 years, he made over $1 million in royalties. And we have a ton of other student success stories like this. So as you can see, there's still a ton of opportunities in Amazon KDP. But let's be real here, right? The more you wait, the more you procrastinate, the more saturated it gets. So the best time to start was yesterday, but the next best time to start is today. And the great thing is, with the rise of AI, it's never been easier and cheaper and faster to get started with this business. But you do have to know how to use AI to your advantage, right? You cannot just rely on AI 100%. It's a tool, not a replacement, meaning you have to learn how to use a tool, not have it just do all the work for you. So before AI was introduced to KDP, creating just a book outline literally took days, if not weeks, right? Because everything was manual. It was crazy, guys. And so, also outsourcing talents was expensive and time consuming. Like, we had to hire ghostwriters, we had to hire cover designers. Now, AI is replacing a lot of those. We still do use it depending on the book type, but a lot of books you can create just with AI now, which is pretty insane, okay? So it was a lot harder to start KDP. But with the rise of AI, you can use ChatGPT to create book outline, description, even writing some content, right? Midjourney can generate AI illustrations, even book covers. There are other AI image generators that's really good for book covers as well. There are softwares that automatically manages Amazon ads, which is new as well. Before you had to do everything manually. And there are a ton of other AI tools for various tasks too. So the bottom line is a lot of things we used to have to do is now being replaced with AI. But with that being said, this is one of the first things you have to understand when you hear this is that you cannot just rely solely on AI. Because even though AI is absolutely amazing, if you try to write a whole book just from AI without adding your own input or tweaking the content, 9 times out of 10, that book is gonna suck. And producing bad book is not how you succeed in this business. So once again, AI is an amazing tool, but it's not a replacement, right? It's not gonna replace you. It's just gonna help you create better books faster. So you still have to tweak the content, humanize it, improve it. So this is an example of a AI written book. And on the surface, it looks decent, right? But if you scroll down to the reviews, it's getting a lot of negative reviews and comments regarding how it's using AI and it's not working, right? You can see here, AI gone wrong, AI pictures don't match the words, everything is AI generated, illustrations don't match the story, it just doesn't make sense. So this is what I mean is you can use AI for a lot of things, but you cannot just completely create the book with AI. But there are examples of AI generated books that are doing really well. So on the other hand, this book right here, Inspiring Stories for Brilliant Boys, the cover is pretty AI. I'm confident that they used AI to create this book, but once again, they probably tweaked the content significantly, right? And for that reason, this book is doing really well. It's generating hundreds of dollars every single day, and people are liking the content. So if you know how to use AI, you can create good books. This is an example of a bad AI created book in the coloring book space. If you look at the images here, a lot of things screams AI, like the hand is blending into the cow, right? It makes no sense. On the other hand, this is an example of using AI correctly. So it has amazing reviews. It's making hundreds of dollars every single day. And these are the illustrations. So I'm confident that what they've done is they used AI to initially generate the pages, and then they used Photoshop or some kind of image editing tool to fix up any, AI errors. And this is the final product. It looks really nice. It looks really clean. So another example of how you don't just, copy paste and rely on AI 100%. You use AI to speed up the process, but then you tweak it after to make sure it's good. The next thing you have to keep in mind is you got to validate the topic before creating the book. So most people think of an idea and they don't even check if other people are interested in that idea, right? They get excited about whatever idea they have. They create the book. They spend a lot of time and energy creating the book. And then they're like, all right, I wrote this book. How can I get other people to want this? And that is the most backward approach ever. So I had this one student in my coaching program that was doing exactly this. He joined KDP. He didn't validate the topic before creating these books. And he ended up making about $100 in his first 6 months of doing this. But after I showed him how to fix this and the correct way of doing it, he went on to make over $5,000 in a single month, to hitting $10,000 in a month shortly after, to doing over $2,000 per day pretty consistently. And now he's traveling the world. So the big question is, how do you do this? How do you validate the topic before you create the book? Well, it's as simple as asking, are similar books on this topic selling well? If other books are selling, then that means people are interested, there's demand. So then that tells you that you should go and create the book, right? If no other book on the topic is selling, then it's probably because no one's interested in it. So that means you should skip the idea. So this is the step-by-step process on validating the topic. Number one, you want to search for your book topic on Amazon, right? If you're doing ketogenic diet, just type in the topic ketogenic diet. If you're doing animal coloring books for kids, just type in animal coloring books for kids. So just type in the topic. Check that on Amazon, and you want to check the bestsellers rank, okay? If the bestsellers rank is below 80,000, that book is doing an average of $500 per month. So to get the bestsellers rank number, you can use tools like BookBeam, which is a paid tool. You don't have to get that if you don't want to. You can also use DS Amazon Quick View, which is a completely free Google Chrome plugin. So just search that up on Google, download the plugin. Once again, it's free. So this is how you do it. You just type in the topic. So in my case, if I want to check the topic of decluttering, I'm going to type in decluttering on Amazon, right? And on the search results, I'm just going to start checking what's the ranking it has. This is way below 80,000, and for that reason, it's making way more than $500 a month. But this is one book on decluttering that is selling. There's another book that's doing really well. There's another book that's doing really well, right? All these books are below 80,000, which tells me that decluttering is very, very profitable. Like almost all the books on page one is selling well. So there's obviously demand. People obviously want this book. And for that reason, now I know that when I make a book on decluttering, then it's going to sell. So now that the topic is validated, the next question I should be tackling is, how can I make a book that is better than what's on the market, which is a separate conversation. So to recap, if there are multiple books under 80,000 BSR, then that's a good topic. If there are no books selling on it, then skip it. So now that you understand how to find profitable topics, you're going to start finding a lot of good topics. Like it's not that hard finding profitable topics. So you're going to have a bunch of ideas of topics you can go into. But that leads me to another mistake that I made early on, and that is that I was all over the place when I was publishing books, right? I would go into one niche and then I'll publish another book in another niche and another book in a completely different topic. And I was once again all over. I was basically doing what we call the shotgun approach. But instead, what you want to do is to go deep, not wide. Going wide is essentially shotgunning everywhere. Going deep is picking a niche and publishing as many books in it. Because every single successful publisher I know who's making a lot of money, and when I say a lot of money, minimum 10K per month and all the way up to 100K per month or more. And what they do is they all focus on 1 to 2 niches. They're not all over the place. So don't jump between different niches. Like don't do one log book and then coloring book and then try out a nonfiction book and then a fiction book. That's being all over the place, right? You want to pick one niche that you like, and you want to publish multiple books to establish authority. You want to master one book type before moving on. So if you choose to do coloring book, try to learn as much as you can, master the coloring book niche until you are so good that you're bored. And plus you have your team, running the business for you, that you have the bandwidth to try out another niche, right? If that's the case, go ahead and do it. You do whatever you want. But if you want to make as much money as possible, you should really be focusing on one until you master it, okay? Because the more books you publish in a niche, the better you understand what works, what kind of topics sell. how you should position the book, how you should title the book, what topics people are responding to, what problems do the customers face that you can solve in the book. Those audience insights comes from being in the niche for a long time. And this is exactly what this student did, right? That took him from being a complete beginner in KDP to joining my coaching program and hitting over $6,000 in a month, and shortly after hitting over $58,000 in revenue. And that is him on the left. So obviously these aren't typical results. Like just because you join my coaching program or do this, that doesn't guarantee that you're gonna make 6 figures a year and travel the world like these students. These guys worked very hard. They showed up consistently, put in the work, and for that reason, results followed. The thing is, most people don't get the results because they don't work as hard as them. But those who do gets pretty great results. Obviously, I cannot guarantee, but that's what we see. And by the way, I'm not trying to sell my coaching program. I'm only bringing up these examples because people always ask for, actual results and student successes and this and that. Plus, I want to prove a point that if you actually follow these strategies, I want to show you what's possible. The next thing you want to understand is that competition is a good thing. So a lot of people who are new to business, they think competition is bad. If somebody else is doing it, they should not do it. You see this in YouTube comments all the time of people saying, oh, so many people are doing this business already, or so many people are in this niche already, and for that reason, I'm not going to do it. Like, don't you think that's stupid? That's like the worst reason ever to not do a business. If everyone's doing it, it's because it's profitable and it's because it works. If it didn't work, if it wasn't profitable, no one would be doing it. So your question is not whether other people are doing it or not. What you should be asking yourself is, how can I stand out from the competition? What new angles can I bring? How can I be better? So if no one's doing it, it's because it doesn't work. Instead of trying to avoid competition, just be better. You want to study the competitors and the demand and ask yourself how you can stand out. There are so many examples of businesses that came into a market that other people were doing and they gained their own market share and made a lot of money. As an example, Netflix didn't say, oh, Blockbuster is already renting out movies, so I'm not going to do this, right? That's what most people are saying. This niche is too saturated, other people are doing it. Instead, Netflix saw what Blockbuster is doing and they're like, I think I can do better in this movie rental niche. So they came in and now they transition into streaming services. But this is a good example of going into a market where there's already competitors. Blockbuster, the red box thing that you can rent movies from, right? There are other services out there, but Netflix just did a better job and it won. And after Netflix came out, now you see Hulu, Amazon Plus, Disney, everyone's coming up with a streaming service. All these other guys didn't say, oh, Netflix is already doing it, we're not going to do it. They just came in saying, how can we be different, right? Disney has obviously the Disney angle. Amazon Prime has the Amazon angle. So everybody has their angle and everyone's making money. So you just have to come up with your own angle. So in terms of Amazon examples, this is a good example. So this book blew up. It was like the #1 best-selling book in the entire bookstore, I think 2 years ago, made a crap ton of money. Even right now, it still makes hundreds of dollars a day. So the way this book did well is because it's not like, interesting facts book is a brand new concept. A lot of people were doing it. But no one had this book cover design where Einstein's brain exploding. This was the first one. And for that reason, it was like a really high impact book cover and it sold really well. So this is one example of standing out, and that is simply to have nicer packaging. In our case, book covers. Having a book cover does stand out, even though the product is the same. Another example is this book, The Shadow Work Journal. This book literally made millions of dollars. Like, it's insane how one book made millions. But this book blew up on TikTok. So the Shadow Work Journal is not a new concept, right? A lot of other books are also doing it. This book has a pretty nice book cover right now and it has a lot of reviews, but it blew up because the publisher or the author knew TikTok marketing, which was a new thing back in the day, right? As you can see, it's a smash hit on TikTok. A lot of people started talking about this. So the point is, you can have the same product, right? But you can be better at marketing, and that can be your angle, which in this case it was. So the first two examples showed that you can have the same product as everyone else, but you can stand out by either having different packaging or marketing. Well, this is an example of actually having a different product, right? A unique product. And in this case, it is a reverse coloring book. So a lot of people are doing coloring books. You can go the complete opposite way, calling it a reverse coloring book, right? It's new. So this is a pretty simple one. The product is just unique, so you can obviously go with this angle too. So there are many ways to stand out, but the point is, Competition is a good thing. Just figure out what is your angle. What new thing do you bring to the table? The next big lesson is that you have to be okay with investing in your business. So recently I did a poll on my YouTube channel asking people how much money do they want to make from their Amazon KDP business. And this was the answer that I got. Okay, so 50% or more said they want to make 6 figures a year. Over 16% of people said they want to make 7 figures a year, right? And 9% of people said they want to make FU money, meaning it's like more than 7 figures. So if you add all this up, more than 75% of people out of all the people that answered the survey said they want to make 6 figures a year. Now, 6 figures a year is a top 1% income universally, right? Even in the US, it's top 1% or something, I think. And what's crazy is that even though 75% of people said they want to make 6 figures a year, the same people absolutely freak out when I say you have to invest, let's say $70 on this tool that's going to help you do keyword research, or that you should hire ghostwriters to speed up the process and have a professional writer write the book for you, right? Or you can invest $30-50 on a book cover so that you have an attractive book cover. Whatever. Whenever I mention that you should invest some money into the business, they freak out. Or sometimes it's not even about the money, right? When I say you have to, work on this business every day consistently for, multiple months to see results, they absolutely freak out because they want to see results within the first 30 days doing, 1 hour a week or something. Isn't that crazy? Like 75% of the people want a top 1% income, and yet very, very few people are actually willing to sacrifice and work like the 1%. You have to understand that if you want something in life, you have to give something of equal value. Like you cannot get something for nothing. If you want to buy something, you have to pay money for it, right? If you want a good relationship, you got to work on it. If you want to lose weight, you have to put in the effort of, going to the gym or eating less or something. Basically, if you want something, you got to give something. It's an equal trade. So it just absolutely blows my mind how many people want a 6-figure or even 7-figure salary without wanting to do anything in return. Anyways, the good news with KDP is that you don't always have to invest money, right? If you don't have the money, you can invest the time. Every single step in the KDP business process, you can do it yourself. But if you don't have the time, let's say you are a busy individual, you have a full-time job, but you got some money to invest. Well, you can also outsource every single step of the process in KDP. So if you don't have the time, you can invest the money. You can choose, right, whether you want to pay with time or pay with money. But if you're not willing to pay with time or money, then you should not be building this business. You should not be building any business because you're not willing to sacrifice anything. So honestly, at that point, you don't deserve to be successful because you're not willing to make the sacrifice. And I think you should probably just stick to a job or something. So the next thing I wish I knew when I started is that your book cover is the most important thing. So most people create books like these, right? Very, very extremely generic. Like these are really, really bad covers. Super hard to read, very unprofessional, horrible color contrast, the image doesn't make sense, and it just screams that you whipped this up on Canva in like 5 minutes. Compared to that, these are good book cover examples, right? Very professional. The color pops, the title text pops, the image makes sense. So the question is, how do you create a book cover like these if you're not a professional designer? Well, that is exactly why you should outsource, and that's exactly why you should invest a little bit of money into hiring someone that can make these book covers for you. Like as an example, if you're doing coloring books or activity books, this gig can create a book cover for you for 25 bucks. If you're doing more fiction or non-fiction type of book, then this one would do it for 10 bucks, and the design looks pretty nice. And obviously there are many, many other options. These are just 2 examples, which by the way, if you want to check it out, the link is below this video, but you don't have to use these gigs specifically, right? You can use other ones. Just look it up on Fiverr or anywhere, which Fiverr is a great place to hire book cover designers. And you can obviously pay more if you want a better quality one. But if you're just getting started, these are a great starting point. And once you start making money from the book, you can keep reinvesting into hiring someone a little bit more expensive, but maybe better quality. So if you're like, oh my God, 25 bucks for a book cover, 10 bucks for a book cover, that is too much. That's too expensive. I'm scared of investing the money. Well, let's do some math here. So let's just say that your book cover costs 30 bucks, okay? And your book makes $4 in royalties for every single sale. So that means if your book makes 8 additional sales in its lifetime, I'm not saying in a week, not even in a month, not even in a year, I'm talking about lifetime, okay? If you make 8 additional sales at $4 royalties each, you make your money back. You make more than that 30 bucks that you invested. So my question is, do you think you can make 8 extra sales with a much better book cover? I think so. I think you're gonna make way more than 8 sales. And that is pretty much how you wanna look at it with everything, right? When it comes to book cover, ghostwriters, because ghostwriters is gonna write better books for you, which means you're not gonna get as much negative reviews, which is going to help with your book not dying off because of bad reviews. It's going to keep selling. It's going to make more money. Same as formatting, review services, whatever. So the next mistake I made a lot when I first got started was that I was consuming way too much content. What you want to do is you want to focus on producing, not consuming. So I want to be completely real with you guys because you guys like my no BS. Most people who say that I've tried KDP for 1 year and I didn't get any results. I get comments like that on my YouTube videos of people saying, oh, I tried KDP for 1 year and I didn't see any results. Most people who say that did not do KDP for 1 year. They watched KDP videos for 1 year and they probably worked on the actual business like a couple hours. And they probably just whipped up couple super generic journals following a YouTube tutorial, and then they did absolutely nothing for the rest of the year, right? And they just kept watching videos. That's all they've done. They didn't do KDP for 1 year. They did KDP for a couple hours, and then they waited 1 year watching videos. So that is a perfect example of just consuming without producing. Consuming is like watching videos, reading posts or whatever. As a consumer, you're learning, but you're not making any money because learning does not make you money. You have to produce, make more books, market those books, right? Those actions is going to lead to more money. So if you're waiting until you feel 100% ready to get started, that day will never come. Like literally never. Okay, you will never feel 100% ready. You will always feel like, you're missing something, that you don't know something until you actually take action. Successful people learn as they go. They start real quick. And then, by taking action, by making the mistakes, they learn from it, not from consuming content. Your first book will probably suck and it might flop, right? But that is okay. Like the beauty of Amazon KDP is that your book will stay on Amazon for life. And even a bad book is going to make some sales, right? I cannot guarantee anything, but usually it does. And over time, it often makes your money back if you're just patient enough. Like as an example with real estate investing, right? People often spend a crap ton of money buying the property and then they fix it up, even more money, and then they rent it out. And it takes them like 10 years to make their money back. And that is considered a standard investment or a standard time to make their money back. 10 years. And people do that all the time. And with KDP, I've literally never heard of a book not making your money back after like max 1-2 years. Like that's an example of if your book really suck. I publish a lot of books and usually they make my money back after a couple months, even the slowest one, maybe a year. But that is fine because even if one book doesn't do well, the other ones do well to make up for it. So you gotta stop being scared. You gotta stop just consuming and you have to start taking action. So the final and the biggest thing I wish I knew when I first got started is that the highest ROI comes from investing in yourself. So when I first started KDP, I was 21 years old. I was broke and I've been failing in multiple different business models for 4 years straight. In 4 years, I made $100 while spending thousands of dollars in different business models, right? So I was scared of investing my money at this point because I just thought it's not possible for me to succeed. I thought I was a failure, to be honest. Like everything I try, I thought I was gonna fail because I was so conditioned from failing in the past. So I was scared to invest more money when I started. Now I watched tons of tutorials on YouTube to try and do this for free, but I never found a video that fully explained things. Like I never felt like I had the full picture. Like you might be feeling the same thing, like I mentioned earlier, right? And I wasted so much time just consuming these content without ever taking action. And in the end, I finally got the courage to invest in a course and also a coach, a one-on-one coach, right? And this saved me so much time, ended up making a ton of money and saved me from making the mistakes. So free content is great. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I learn a lot from them. But whenever I want to go deep in something, I always buy a course because I know that the time I'm going to spend is worth way more than the potential amount that costs to join the course or program or whatever. So whenever I try to learn something, I always try to get coaching and mentorship. So back in 2016, when I started, I finally mustered up the courage to spend $6,000 for 10 one-on-one sessions with my coach. So literally $600 per session, right? Because it's $6K for 10 sessions. And this is back in 2016. Isn't that crazy? Like the coaching program that I offer right now has way better value. And it's like 9 years later, because of inflation and everything, things are more expensive. And yet our coaching program offers way more for less price. Anyways, after getting the coaching, I hit $1,000 in a month very quick. And then I hit $10,000 in a month after 10 months, because having a coach check my keyword, check my book cover, check my title, just get that confirmation that I am moving forward in the right direction was huge, right? Because I wasn't in the blind anymore. And that's exactly what we do with our coaching program too. We check your stuff. We actually have one-on-one coaching sessions included. So it's not just a course, it's a course coaching hybrid offer that we have, which if you guys want to learn more about it, it's the first link in the description. If you click on it, it takes you a page like this. You can watch the video, you can scroll down and see the testimonials, what's included and stuff like that. But you have to apply here for a free discovery call. And on the call, which is free, once again, it's like 30 minutes, okay? On the call, you can ask us any questions, but we'll also ask you questions to make sure that this program is a fit for you. If it is, you can join. Sometimes it's not, and we'll let you know that it's not a good fit. But if you're interested in joining and you want to talk to us, then this is how you do it. This student says he was making $200 a month on KDP before joining, and now he's consistently doing over 10K per month and scaling fast. But once again, you don't have to join if you don't want to. In fact, if you're gonna come in and you're rude or you're entitled, you have a bad attitude, then I don't want you to join. If you think I'm a scammer just because I make YouTube videos or I sell a coaching program, then please do not join, because I don't want to work with you. Because we don't just dump a video course and then disappear, right? We actually sit down with you one-on-one. We got a lot of hand-holding, which means we got to spend quite a bit of time to actually work with you. So if your personality kind of sucks, obviously we don't want to do that. But the point is having some sort of structured plan to follow, whether that is our program or someone else's, I think it is highly beneficial. So if you don't want to join ours, you can join someone else's program, but I do recommend having a concrete plan. Very, very rarely do people figure everything out on their own just by watching videos. Like I remember one time I asked in one of my videos, if you made over $10,000 per month without following any course, comment below, right? And that video got a lot of views, and I received 0 comment of someone who actually made 10K per month trying to do everything themselves. So if you're watching this and if you are someone who actually figured out everything yourself and you're hitting 10K per month or more, then yeah, let me know in the comments and you can prove me wrong. If you do like these longer form, no BS video, and if you want me to make more of it, then the best way to let me know is to like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and also comment and just straight up let me know. So just comment no BS if you like these and if you want me to do more, and I will try to do more. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.